Doing a wheelie is not hard. As you can see, wheelies are easy as hell. Nice work, my friend. Oh, good job, good job. Now, I might sound like a narcissistic douchebag, but I'm serious. I understand there's probably some bias here given my experience. However, I at one point too also sucked at wheelies.
Why is it called a hospital?
Now, it's a reality that most worms don't want to admit, but wheelies really aren't that hard. They just take muscle memory, fearlessness, and most importantly, seat time. Anyone who says they can't wheelie, realistically, is just missing one of these three things. So, today I'm going to teach you how to wheelie. Step 1, find a comfortable position on the bike. I typically find that to be about right here on the seat, a little further back, so my hands can reach the bars perfectly, and I'm in a comfortable position just like this. Moving on to step 2, you want to make sure that you have a good grip on the bars and your fingers are in a position where they can cover your rear brake specifically. I run my brakes pretty high, which most people don't like, but it's super comfortable for me because anytime my hands are resting here, my finger is always on the brake and I don't have to reach for it. I just always have the feeling that it's right here. That's just personal preference. With that out of the way, we can now finally actually go to step 3, which is kind of trying to start the wheelie. So step 3 is the pop, if you will. This is where you pop the throttle and move your weight back so you can get that front wheel to come up off the ground. Now this is going to be very, very intimidating at first. So what I actually want you to do to start is we're going to do a teeny tiny pop. And as soon as we do that pop, we're immediately going to tap our rear brake, our left lever. We're going to tap that and bring the front wheel back down. So we'll go pop a little and then tap the rear brake. Pop and then tap the rear brake. Pop and then tap the rear brake. I literally want you to do this 1,000 times back and forth. Pop and tap the rear brake. Pop and tap the rear brake. Pop and tap the rear brake. Now you might be asking yourself, why, Connor, am I popping and tapping the rear brake so much? We're doing this because the most important thing is we want to develop muscle memory. We want to develop muscle memory for when we get higher wheelies and further back and you actually need the rear brake. So you always want to have the rear brake in the back of your mind. You always want to cover it because if you do get too far back, God forbid, you can tap the rear brake and bring yourself back down. So just back and forth many times. Pop it up, tap the rear brake. Pop it up, tap the rear brake. Pop it up, tap the rear brake. I'll do it again for you. Pop it up, tap the rear brake. Pop it up, tap the rear brake. Pop it up, tap the rear brake. Now guys, step 3 is gonna last a long time for most people and it's gonna be a little disheartening because you're just gonna feel like you suck, you can't wheelie, all you can do is pop it up and bring it back down, but it's really important to practice this. But when you start, it's gonna be very scary to pop up the front wheel. It's gonna be very intimidating and the higher you get it, the scarier it will become. Now with that said, you wanna slowly over time pop up that rear wheel and you'll get more used to the sensation of the wheel being up. So over time, you're gonna get more and more comfortable with the wheel getting higher and higher off the ground. There's no shortcuts here. You literally just have to do it and get your body comfortable with that sensation of the front wheel being that high off the ground because it's pretty dang high. So guys, step 3 really just goes into step 4, which is continuing to practice this, but just giving it more throttle and throwing your weight back as you do it. That's going to make it easier for you to wheelie. So again, you're just going to give maybe a little more throttle, tap the rear brake, a little more weight thrown back, tap the rear brake, and you're going to get higher and higher and closer to an actual wheelie. Now, that brings us to step 5, chasing territory. Step 5 really isn't even a step per se, it's more so just a part of the journey, which is chasing territory. And this is essentially the point where you're starting to get good at getting that front wheel up consistently, and you're able to keep it up for longer and longer because you're getting more comfortable with it. So what's gonna happen is you'll start riding somewhat longer wheelies, but instead of sitting at balance point, you'll literally chase them out. So you'll go, but you're not actually sitting at balance point. You're quite literally just chasing the wheelie because you're not at balance point. So again, I'll show you what a chase is and what it looks like again. And we're chasing it, we're chasing it. See how we're speeding up, but the front wheel isn't getting any higher? That means we're chasing it. And what I always will say is, do not chase your frickin' wheelie. Do not chase your wheelie because it's a lot better to fall at 10 miles an hour doing a wheelie than if you chase it and, you know, or end up going 30 and fall. It's not fun. So try to avoid chasing. What I always suggest is if you feel yourself chasing a wheelie, just drop it. Just if you feel yourself chasing, like I could chase this, nah, I'm gonna drop it instead. Because I don't wanna chase the wheelie. That's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to get up to balance point. So if you feel yourself not there, put it down and quit chasing the wheelie. Okay guys, I'm gonna get nice, close, and intimate for step 6. And that's because step 6 is literally the epitome of a wheelie, but it's also the hardest part. And that's the drop back, that's the floating, that's coasting. And it's gonna be the scariest part, but it's the most rewarding and it's the last step to doing an actual wheelie. So this is what a true balance point looks like. See how high that front wheel is? See how I'm not chasing it, I'm going the same speed here? This is a proper balance point wheelie because I'm not really giving a ton more throttle and I'm not really hitting the brake all that hard. It's a light balance between feathering the brake and just giving it a little bit of throttle, because all you're doing is essentially balancing in this little area of this angle, because in here you don't need to give it any throttle or any brake, but sometimes if you get a little too far back you have to tap the brake to bring it back down, but then if you get too far forward you have to give a little more throttle to bring it back. It's quite literally a balance. You're just juggling between these two things, but you want to have very minute inputs so you don't slam the rear brake and mousetrap or grab a handful of throttle and loop. It's something that you just have to practice over and over again to learn and to get comfortable with, because it's literally just pushing out of your comfort zone. This was scary for everyone. Everyone that's really good at wheelies was scared shitless at some point, and the first couple times you get to balance point you're gonna shit your pants. Guys, all balance point is just a juggling act between your rear brake and your throttle. I'll even show you here. See how high the bike is up in the air? Right about here is where actual balance point is. And I'll show you by doing this. You see that? No hands. You see that? The bike doesn't move. Moves a little bit. But this is right here where your balance point is. So if you're wheeling only right here, or right here, if you can even see that, it is a lot lower than where you need to be. So wherever you think balance point is, if you think you're close, it's usually about a foot further back. You want your front forks to essentially be parallel with the ground, and that's when you know you're at balance point. So guys, those are all the steps, but I'm going to run you through them all once again. So we're going to get in a comfortable position on the bike. I like to sit right about here, so my hands are comfortable here. I can sit on the bike and squeeze my legs here. We're going to make sure our fingers are in a good spot, and what we're going to do next is we're going to give it a little bit of throttle and throw some of our weight back. And what that'll do is it'll bring the front wheel up. Now what our goal is here is to get the front wheel high enough that it's parallel with the ground. Now once we get up to that height, if we feel ourselves dipping back a little too far, we're going to feather that rear brake. Now if the front wheel is too low and we feel it falling, we're going to give a little bit more throttle. So here we go. See that brake? Throttle, brake, throttle, brake, throttle, brake, throttle, brake. It's just literally going back and forth between the two. Okay guys, just some additional notes that I think you might find helpful. So when I was learning to wheelie, I found that I had like the most progress, the best progress, when I was out practicing as much as humanly possible. So this didn't mean that I was outside for 10 hours every day learning to wheelie. In most cases, it was more so that I was out for 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, just getting practice every single day. Now, in my opinion, I found that to work a lot better than if I were to go out just like on a Saturday all day for 10 hours to practice, because, you know, you sleep on it, you practice, you take notes, you go home, you sleep on it, the next day you come back and you're already improving and you're better, versus if you go on a Saturday for 10 hours and then, you know, you don't ride again all week and you go back the next Saturday, that obviously isn't going to be as good. So that's something I highly suggest. Obviously, I know everybody has different work schedules, so I guess I'm lucky in that mine is flexible. However, definitely recommend that. Next point I would say is there's always going to be kids that are super good at wheelies, but don't get discouraged and definitely push yourself slowly. It's no fun if you go out to learn to wheelie and you try to drop back way too soon. You don't have all the simple muscle memory down and you go out and just wreck. You know, that can hurt you, it'll hurt your bike, it'll cost your money in bike parts, it'll cost your money maybe even in hospital visits. So just know that it takes a long time. You don't just immediately get better. It's all about the seat time and getting the practice in. Like, I'm still not amazing, but like, it's all about the seat time. I'm just practicing every day, slowly but surely, getting over the fear. So I really believe in incremental fear here. So incrementally getting yourself over the fear and getting used to the sensation of dropping back and wheeling and all of that, because nobody wants to frickin' loop. It sucks. Totally sucks. But then, once you get good at normal wheelies, you can start doing all this crazy stuff, which is so fun. Damn, just look at our beautiful city. You have Boathouse Row here on the Schuylkill, the Art Museum, the skyline. Really is a beautiful city in which we live, I have to say. Well, in which I live. You guys are living here virtually, I guess. Well guys, there you have it, the ConnorG Media wheelie tutorial. I really didn't plan on doing this because I feel like there's so many wheelie tutorials on YouTube and so many better riders and teachers than me, but I had so many people comment asking about it, so you're welcome. These are my methods, these are my suggestions. Any people that are really good at wheelies, please feel free to comment down below what any tips you might have, or if you disagree with me, I don't care. Let me know in the comments because it could help someone. But as always guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Seriously, if you like this video, it'll help me so much. If you subscribe, it'll help me a ton. I think like 96% of my viewers aren't subscribed, which sucks. So if you guys could do that, that'd be phenomenal. We're on the road to 100K, that YouTube play button. Come on now, we're about 12K, 8K off, or 12K or 11K I think off of it. So please subscribe, turn on those post notifications. But as always guys, I'll catch you next time. Peace.